Hey y'all, happy holidays. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. I wanted to get up one more video to finish off the year. I've been getting a lot of requests for this, so I'm going to be sharing a what I pack in my husband's lunchbox. If you are new here, he is a truck driver, which can really limit what he can have. So I love trying to find new ideas and different ways to send him food. I'm so very excited that we have been sent a Lunch Ease cordless self-heating lunchbox to try out. This is something I have been really interested in for a while, and I'm just happy for my husband to have it. It's really going to benefit him. I'm going to be using it very heavily, so if it's something that you've been thinking about, definitely follow along. I will be posting tons of different ideas of things to pack. Josh is loving it so far, and I do have a code for free shipping if anyone is interested. It's just my name, Kristen, in all caps, and I will have that information in my description box as well. So let's go ahead and jump on into the video. First up, I'm going to make him a chili stuffed baked potato. I know this is like a common thing that a lot of people have, but it's actually fairly new to us. It's just not something that's ever sounded the best to me, but after having it, like, we're obsessed. So I'm gonna make the most basic chili since its sole purpose is to go over potatoes. So I just browned up a pound of ground beef. I seasoned it with onion and garlic powder, salt and pepper, and once it got fully cooked, I drained off some of the grease. And now I'm gonna add in a 15-ounce can of some tomato sauce and a 15-ounce can of some chili beans. And as you can see, I did not drain those. We definitely prefer these over like kidney beans. I'm also going to add in this package of McCormick mild chili seasoning. I have really been liking this one lately, and that's it ingredient wise. I'm just going to give it a good stir. I have it on about a medium-high heat, and I'm just waiting for it to start boiling. So once it reaches that point, I'm going to turn the heat down and I'm just going to let it simmer. This is one of those things that you can cook for a long time or for a little time. I just let it cook as long as it took for the baked potatoes to cook. But here is the finished product. I think that this is the perfect consistency for what I'm using it for. And although it is very easy, it is very flavorful. So now I'm just adding his baked potato to the stainless steel container that the Lunch Ease comes with. I like to cook my baked potatoes in the oven. I rub them down in some olive oil and kosher salt. I place them directly on the oven racks for 1 hour at 400 degrees, and I do flip it halfway through. Turns out perfect every time. So I've added a little butter, salt, and pepper, and I just gave it a light fluffing. And then I'm going to add a good amount of that chili over it, as well as a good handful of some shredded cheese and a few freeze-dried chives. So as you can see, a little bit of time has elapsed. That cheese is nice and melted, and that's all there is to it. So not only does this make a really good lunch, it also makes a really good, hearty, cozy dinner. We all loved it. Now, the time that my husband leaves for work is all over the place. It's never the same, and I'm not big on filming like in the middle of the night at weird hours. So I'm just going to give you an example of what an early morning would look like. So I do like to make his lunches the day before, and I'll stick everything in the refrigerator. For this, I just stick the metal container in the refrigerator, and then before he leaves, either he can do it or I can do it. We'll just stick it in this Lunch Ease box and pull that gray flap over the top until it snaps. You power it on, and there's two options. You can heat now, which is what you would do if you didn't set the meal time. But ideally, you want to set the meal time. You just set it to whenever you want to have lunch, and then you push the up button to confirm. It's very simple. Since this was just an example, I just went with like the default time of 2 p.m. So it's going to say that it's heating here in this clip, but on a normal occasion, it won't do that. It waits until 2 hours before your lunchtime, and then it'll automatically start heating up. But you do leave it powered on, and then you just put it in the insulated lunch bag that it comes with. It's actually very nice, fits everything perfectly. And now I'm going to pack up the top part. So I'm going to add in the ice pack, I'm going to add in his utensils, and I'm going to throw in a little side of sour cream to go on top of his baked potato. Really sets it off. I really like to buy these little disposable cups that comes with a lid from Walmart. It comes in a big pack, super cheap. I'm also going to give him a pretty good sized container of some fresh strawberries. I thought those looked beautiful. This is also another little Lunch Ease add-on that you can get. So I'm also going to give him some Buckeyes. I did not make these myself. These are store-bought. I got these at Rural King. I don't know if everyone has one of those. It's somewhere I go like maybe once a year, but these caught my eye and they are delicious. They taste just like homemade. So I gave him 3 of those in a little Ziploc snack size bag. And then I'm also going to include a Diet Mountain Dew, and I'm going to give him his big Stanley full of water each day. Now, like I mentioned, the Lunchies is cordless. All you have to do is charge it up at home, and then it is ready to go. Next up, I'm going to be sending him some homemade loaded cheesy potato soup. So I'm just going to quickly include the recipe. It is very easy, but every time I give some to someone, they always request the recipe. So I'm going to be making a big batch because I'm also going to be sending it to some family. So I peeled that whole 5-pound bag of potatoes, and I'm just going to let those soak in a bowl of water so that they don't turn brown while I'm cooking the bacon. So with my scissors, I'm just chopping up this whole package of bacon, and I'm going to fry it up in my big old pot. Just going in every now and then and stirring it around until everything is nice and brown and crispy just like we like it. So once it reaches that point, I'm just going to take my big slotted spoon and I'm just going to take that bacon up out of that grease and place it into a paper towel lined bowl. So there it is, all cooked up. I'm not just going to get rid of that bacon grease. I like to save it for other recipes. So I like to pour it in a jar, but I did leave a little bit just to flavor the soup, and I diced all of my potatoes, threw it in that pot, and I'm going to get it covered with 6 cups of chicken broth. I love to cook my potatoes in chicken broth, especially for this recipe, and you just cook it until it's fork tender. You don't want to overcook it, or else it'll all just turn to mush. But once you get them tender, you add in a can of cream of chicken, a can of cream of celery, and about 8 ounces of some sour cream, which is about exactly what I had left in this container. So now I'm just going to kind of gently stir everything together, until everything melts down, and then I'm going to go in and season it. So I'm going in with some salt, lots of black pepper. Remember, it's a big pot. And I've used this Grindstaff 3 Kings rub in my potato soup before, and we really like it. So I added a good amount into the soup, and you always want to give it a little taste test before you're like officially done, which I'll do here in a little bit, just to make sure everything tastes right to you. But after my seasonings, I added in about 2 cups of some shredded sharp cheddar cheese, and I let that cook for just a few minutes, just until that cheese is melted. So here I did do the taste test. It needed a little extra something, and I realized I forgot the onion powder. So after I added that in, it is perfect. And really, after you get your potatoes peeled, everything else comes together pretty quick, and just look at how thick and creamy and cheesy that is. We all love it. My daughter has been requesting for me to make this, so she was definitely the inspiration, but Josh really likes it too. So I'm just going to fill his bowl pretty full. I'm going to add a little bit of extra cheese over the top, as well as a good little handful of that crispy bacon. He sent me a video of this when it was his lunchtime on Snapchat, and it was steaming. Like, I was impressed. He said that it was perfect, and with how cold it is outside, I felt good sending him that. And I also gave him a ham sandwich. I thought that would go good with it. Ham always goes good with potato soup. So just 2 pieces of white bread. I layered that ham on thick. I need to get rid of it anyways. As always, mayo and mustard in between the meat and cheese. And I did mozzarella cheese because that's the only sliced cheese that I had at the moment. And I'm just putting it in this little sandwich bag. I like to buy the Great Value ones that are like multicolored. Lately, they are just perfect for, a simple little quick sandwich. And I'm also going to include a banana for his fruit. And then I'm going to give him the last 2 of these little Christmas themed, basically they're like a Nutty Buddy bar. And then the same as before, I'm going to give him another Diet Mountain Dew and his big Stanley of water. So I know I said I don't like filming like really, really early in the morning, but he actually overslept just a little bit. So this is the only time in the video that I filmed early in the morning. As you can see, it's like 4:19 a.m. But I'm setting his lunchtime for 11, and you just put it in the lunchbox just like that. Now, I'm sure that mostly everybody has heard about Mississippi pot roast by now, but have you ever turned it into tacos? Because let me tell you, it is so amazing. So I just have a smaller chuck roast. This is about 1.5 pounds. So I'm just placing that in the bottom of my crock pot, and I've got the big bottles of the brown gravy mix and the ranch seasoning. So I'm just kind of eyeballing what I think it needs. And I ran out of real butter on this day, so I'm just using a spoonful of some country crock, and I'm just using the last last of the pepperoncinis that I had in my fridge, so I'm using all that juice, and then I just have 3 of those little peppers. I covered it with a lid, and I cooked it on low for about 6-ish hours. Since it is smaller, it didn't take as long, and you know it's done when the fork goes in and out easily. Didn't want to overcook it. And these are our favorite tortillas. I'll say it every time. The tortilla land, we just love the flavor of them. They do come uncooked, so you just have to cook them real quick in a nonstick skillet. And then I'm just going to take it and kind of push it down in the juices of the pot roast. Also did shred it off camera. And that's just going to go in a hot buttered skillet. I'm going to lay down some shredded mozzarella cheese, followed by a good amount of that pot roast. And I am going to fit 2 of these in at the same time. And I just cook those for a couple of minutes on each side until they are nice and brown and crispy. I can already tell that these are going to be like a repeat dinner. Anytime we have like a pot roast, I'm going to be making this with the leftovers. It's also really good to take the extra juice in the crock pot and dip these in there just like you would with birria tacos. So anyways, here I was just checking to see if I needed to charge up the lunchbox, which I figured it would. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner, it is red, and you can just see that it's gone down. So I just wanted to show you how easy it is. You just plug it in the back, plug it in the wall, and it will let you know when it is done. So to go along with it, I'm also going to give him a bag of these Lay's kettle cooked jalapeno chips. I figured that flavor would pair well with the Mississippi pot roast flavors. I'm also going to give him this little 7-Up flavored mini bundt cake. I get this at Save-A-Lot. He really likes those. And then lastly, I'm just going to give him the last of the fruit in the fridge that needs to be eaten. So it's a mix of green grapes and strawberries. And then he just has his usuals to drink. Up next, I'm trying out a new recipe. This is going to be a Boursin chicken pasta. So I start out by heating up a little bit of olive oil and butter in my skillet, and then I diced up about 2 smallish sized chicken breasts, and I just went in and seasoned those with some Laurie's garlic salt and some black pepper. So here I am just tossing it all around, making sure it's all seasoned well, and I just let that cook until it was fully cooked through. I like to wait until like all the liquid kind of cooks off, and then it starts to get a little bit browned, and that's when I went in and added a big spoonful of just some jarred minced garlic. So I'm going to let that continue cooking for just a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to add in a 1/3 cup of some chicken broth. And then the best part to this recipe, this Boursin garlic and fine herbs cheese. I'm going to drop the whole block in there, and I'm just going to let that melt. Doesn't take long at all, only a few minutes. And then that will perfectly coat the chicken. And I wanted to stretch the sauce a little bit, so I added some of the pasta water, where I cook my pasta in. And I wish I didn't add so much. I got it all figured out in the end. I had to let it cook off a little bit to thicken back up, but I wish that I added in just a small splash. But I also cooked up about a half a box of some rotini pasta, drained it, threw it in there, and here I am adding in some Parmesan cheese. I'm just going in with the bottled stuff, and I'm also going to do some dried parsley, and I'm just going to toss that all together. I cranked the heat back up, like I said, to let that sauce kind of boil and thicken up a little bit, but that was all there was to it, and it was really good. That Boursin cheese, of course, made it super flavorful. Plenty of chicken in here, so it's super filling, and he really loved it. Now I can go ahead and pack it up for him. I'm going to fill this up pretty full. I will be honest, when we first unpackaged the Lunch Ease box, we didn't know if these containers would hold that much food, but they really do. I've had these for about a month now, and it holds plenty. It holds more than enough to fill him up, so we're very pleased with that. So I will, of course, include a fork, and then I found a really good ripe pineapple at Kroger, so I went home and cut it up, and it was perfectly sweet. So I'm going to put that in the little snack size container, and I will put that lid on it so that it doesn't leach into these little Ritz cookies that I made. These are just Ritz crackers, peanut butter, and then you dip them in chocolate, drizzle more chocolate over the top, and they are just so delicious. We have been crazy about those lately, so I gave him quite a few of those. So that's his little snack sweet treat fruit box. And then I switched it up this time, and I'm going to give him a Sunkist Zero Sugar Orange Pop. Now, I know that this last one is not going to be for everyone, but I made a big old breakfast, and this is one of my husband's absolute favorite meals. It can be for breakfast, lunch, dinner. He does not care. So I decided to just pack up the leftovers and let him take those to work. So he likes to put it all in a big bowl, even when it's fresh. So I just call this the breakfast bowl. So I made some homemade butter swim biscuits. If you want to know how to make those, I can link a TikTok video I made of making those in my description box. They're really good. I just topped that with some sausage and some scrambled eggs. I'm also going to do some fried bologna, and then I'm just going to top that off with a hash brown. And then lastly, I did make some homemade gravy. It had stood there for a while. We had already all ate. It cooled down, so it's looking a little congealed. I know it doesn't look the best. I tried to warm it back up, but it just doesn't look the best when you try to reheat gravy, but it still tastes the same and it still tastes really good. Looking back though, I do think I would put the gravy on the bottom. I think that would make more sense and also look a little better, but either way, he loved it. So I also made some homemade molasses cookies. I made these for my dad's birthday because they're one of his favorites. He's not a big sweet eater, but he loves these. I can also link the recipe to those in my description box. I'm also going to include a little pack of these Doritos nacho cheese crackers. We used to eat these all the time, and I don't know if they stopped making them or just didn't sell them in my stores nearby, but I haven't seen them in a long, long time. So as soon as I did, I made sure to grab a box. I also gave him a golden delicious apple, and we have been loving these cranberry sprites. I wish they weren't limited edition. They're so good. But that is all I got for y'all in today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some new ideas or maybe inspired you to try and save a little bit of money and take your lunch to work. And if you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you so much for all the support this year and all the years prior. I will see you guys real soon in the new year.